change my mind.
Yes.
What is good? Welcome back to the Flawdcast. I am your boy, Flawdzilla. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Mozilla.
What up, y'all?
This is the last normal place on the internet, and we're glad that you could be here with us today. And you will be too by the end of the video, guaranteed, or your money back.
Yes.
Okay, so first and foremost, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you comment for the algorithm, and then hit that subscribe and notification bell so you can be notified whenever we drop, even though YouTube be barely notifying people, even when you guys do hit the bell. But whatever, you know what I'm saying? Don't say you didn't. Just do it, and hopefully they fucking start doing their job.
And Flawd dropped his booty when you're notified, when you hit the bell too. So
every time.
Hit that bell.
That actually does happen though. As soon as you guys hit the bell, like, you know, every time a bell rings, the angel gets his wings. Every time this bell rings, I drop down and get the eagle on.
Wow.
Okay. So
He do.
no, I don't. I would never. She wouldn't respect me anymore if I did that. But anyway, this video is more change my mind. Hate speech isn't real. We did the first guy on this video. Well, we reacted to the first guy on this video. Pause. We reacted to the first dude on this video, and it kind of blew my mind because I had just watched the Yuri Bezmenov video, and basically that dude was like a visual representation of it, which was crazy. So like it just solidified my thoughts even more that this is a planned, strategized, and like this is all happening on purpose. This is an agenda. This is an agenda being executed right now. You know? So we're just gonna continue on this video. This is the second person on the video.
Hell yeah.
And we're gonna see if she can change his mind.
She looks triggering.
She does. She has like that hair, that like manager hair. That let me talk to you, manager hair. But anyway, let's get into this, man.
I've heard. Forget it.
Sorry, I stopped that music. So that was like very what's the word? Suddenly. Okay, yeah. So let's get into this, man.
I heard.
Hi, Steven. Nice to meet you. I can't really shake your hand because
No,
I got.
you're good.
Nice to meet
I'm
you.
actually on the speech and debate team here, so.
Oh, cool.
I do this for fun. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Did she have to say that?
Seriously.
She wanted to give herself a pat on the back immediately.
I thought she was about to say something about I didn't want to shake your hand.
I thought she was too.
Or something.
Well,
like
I
that.
thought that she was just gonna say I don't want to shake your hand. Period.
Like,
I thought she was gonna say something rude.
I don't know
But
what to
instead,
say.
she gave herself a fucking alley-oop pat on the back, like.
For real, like, actually, I do this, and you never asked, but I'm gonna tell you anyways.
So this should be good when you whoop my ass, and
real.
I actually do this for a job.
He's like, all right, but let's go, let's get this.
She's about to get her ass whooped,
Hell
more than
yeah.
likely. Not her ass whooped, obviously. That's not what I mean, but
Figurative.
yeah, figuratively, about to get her ass whooped, and she just put herself like in the target. She's gonna make herself look worse when she could have just chilled.
For real.
You know. But anyway, let's go.
I just wanted to
So,
like.
let me kind of. Sorry, do you mind stepping in?
This isn't your show, girl.
We're like right here. And if that works, okay. I don't bite. I'm not aggressive.
you're good.
Despite what you might have read in the college paper. When I'm talking about hate speech, I'm not talking about people speaking hatefully. People can say hateful things. Obviously, I'm talking about any kind of speech that's differentiated or should be differentiated legally based on its level of offense cause or quote unquote oppression.
So if there's
not
a
a real
law
thing.
saying that it can't happen, then that's hate speech, or.
Yeah,
What?
I'm saying in the United States, the definition that's used, for example, on campus quite a bit, or what was lobbed against me, for example, for the rape culture isn't real, I was accused of hate speech. That's not real. It's not a thing.
Okay.
If you disagree, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
I'm just like concerned about your definition because like the Merriam-Webster definition of hate speech is like speech that is hateful based on someone's like race, gender, or sexuality. So you're saying it like differentiates from like the normative definition?
I'm talking about a legal definition here in the United
What
States.
is she not
Okay,
understanding
so just the
here?
legal definition. So what someone can go to jail or be fined for?
Yes, I believe.
Okay.
I believe that any kind of speech that would be differentiated out from under the umbrella of freedom of speech
Okay.
doesn't exist. I don't think there's speech offensive enough or egregious enough to warrant any kind of legislation.
So unequivocally, like all speech is protected.
Yes.
Yep.
Speech, freedom of speech.
Freedom
yes.
is okay. A few questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Let me let that loud truck pass.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you being so considerate.
Oh, anytime. I 100% agree with you that free speech should be protected. I'm actually from Russia, so like this is like a very personalized issue for me.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible over there.
I'm from Canada. It's terrible over there too.
I think I disagree with you there.
Oh.
I just wonder, what about like fear-mongering, like speech that is a call to action for violence to occur, like the speech or the rhetoric that was perpetuated in like the case of the Pulse nightclub shooting, like hateful speech that like mongers fear.
What?
Yeah, so what speech are you talking about that
Yeah,
led
what
to the
is
Pulse
she
nightclub
talking
shooting?
about?
Yeah, I didn't.
Perhaps religious rhetoric that insinuated that is
Okay.
okay.
Perhaps from whom?
Specific religion.
What are you talking
It was
about?
an Islamic terrorist who like had like a perpetuation of like fear-mongering and free speech. That
You're talking about the Pulse nightclub shooter himself.
Well, certainly, but like there are
Or him
religious
being radicalized.
institutions as well that use their free speech in order to like perpetuate hateful rhetoric.
Sure.
What?
So let's define hateful rhetoric.
Okay,
I
rhetoric
don't know what
that
she's talking about.
is hate. That like it's difficult to define. Hateful rhetoric is something that incites like
But just-
anger within. I don't know.
What?
Like,
Okay. So how would that be defined legally?
I think that anything that discriminates against someone based on their sex, ability, or disability, sexual orientation, or gender can be considered hate speech.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
And it's something that should be an actionable offense, should be limited or controlled or legislated by the
I'm so
government.
confused.
You're a smart guy. You've heard of like Sapir-Whorf, right? Like language constructs reality. I feel like even if speech is protected unequivocally, oftentimes that speech is misconstrued and that rhetoric becomes violence. That's like
Okay.
what happened with Hitler. It was fear-mongering. Like
She's
There-
just saying
there
the
wasn't
same
a
thing
misconstrued.
over and over again and
I
trying
don't
to
think
sound.
that people perhaps knew that
I think
he was
Hitler
gonna
was
kill-
pretty clear about what he wanted to do.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know
he
what
told the
she's
masses, like, I'm
talking
gonna
about.
go kill 6 million Jewish people. Like I don't think that was like his initial message.
It wasn't his initial message,
Yeah.
you know.
But that was
eased
his
into it.
message.
Certainly.
But I think to compare Hitler's, for example, his rhetoric and being a part of, the National Socialist Party of Germany, comparing that to someone who might say something that someone could misconstrue as hateful and use as inspiration to commit an act of violence is not at all the same. So I guess, you said you had some questions for me. What would be an example of speech that you think should be controlled or legislated by the government?
If someone tweets out, "You should go kill this person because they're gay," I certainly believe that they
Oh,
should
of
be
course.
held.
Yeah.
Isn't that free speech?
No.
What?
Okay.
No, we already have laws in the books for that. And that's because it's an active call to
That's
violence.
exactly-
Yeah, this bitch
So
is
for
wild.
example, you could say, I hate Steven Crowder. That's fine.
Certainly.
Yeah.
You could say, I
Why
hope
wouldn't
Steven
she
Crowder
just
gets, gets stabbed with a pitchfork.
Yep.
Okay, that's probably
still
fine.
think
Or
that's
I hope
fine.
he gets run over by a car. You can't say, go run over
Yes.
Steven
Yeah,
Crowder
no,
with a car.
that's
or
something
I'll pay
totally different.
$500
She's trying
to
to
someone who
Yeah.
runs over
sneak
Steven
some
Crowder
shit in
with a
the air.
car.
That's something
Okay.
totally
It's the call
different.
to action. There are already laws in the
Absolutely.
books.
Drawing
That's
the
not
line at
speech.
the call to action. Okay.
Well, the
That's
law
what
drives
you
the
did.
law.
Why is that
Didn't
hard?
she do that though?
Why is that hard to understand?
Didn't she draw the line at the call to action as soon as she came over? She said, "What about things that are like a call to action?" That's literally what she said.
Yes.
That's literally what she
Yes.
said right in the beginning.
She's
So what is she talking? And then she went to fear mongering. What? So like
And
me
then-
saying, "Ooh, this house is haunted,"
And then-
should be illegal.
and then kept saying other things around fear and just kept saying
Yes.
different ways of fear mongering and trying to
They
sound
said like Hitler.
Yeah.
Nope. What are you talking about again? Hitler wanted to racially cleanse the goddamn earth. That's totally different, bro. If I like it, that's the thing. If you start legislating fear mongering like in the way that you're describing, and she'd be fine with them. Like the way that she's describing it, if they just took her definition and ran with that, she'd be fine.
Yep.
And if they were just like things like it was not even a real definition, but if she ran with that, people would be fine with that because people don't even care about the technical definition of the
No.
things that they're asking
No,
for.
'cause
They just think something,
they
think
know
an
what you
idea
mean.
matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, see, you know what I'm talking about. You're a smart guy. And then it gets legislated, and then it gets turned into this house is haunted.
Yep.
He told me my house is haunted,
Yep.
and then they come arrest you, like because he induced fear with his words. What are you trying to say, bitch? She just and she's on the debate team.
Yep.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
She can't even hold the fucking conversation. She sounds crazy.
First verse, she's already fucking. First round, she's already.
First verse, you've been with a rapper way too long. You've been with a rapper for way too long. You look at life as 3 verses and a hook.
Wow.
what
First
section of
round.
life is this? What section of life are we in right now?
First round, she's already done. That
Legit,
was
though.
funny. I
Legit.
did not mean to say that.
First verse. You about to
don't
start
know where
breaking
that
into
came
a
from.
verse. You about to start rapping. First verse, minimum thirst, and then you about to go in. All right.
Laws in the books.
So you're
That's
drawing
not
the line
speech.
at
to someone who runs over Steven Crowder with a car.
Okay.
It's the call to action. There are already laws in the books.
So you're
That's
drawing
not
the line
speech.
at the call to action. Okay.
Well, the law draws a line at an active call to action. Yeah.
So, okay, in 2016 during the election at TCU, people went around on bulletin boards writing the 3/5 compromise needs to come back. Would that be considered hate speech?
The what? What was it?
The 3/5 compromise needs to come back.
Okay.
Would that be considered hate speech, or like
No.
would you protect that?
Yes.
Would I protect that? Well, I don't know what the
'Cause
rule
he-
is on shocking or painting or whatever it is, but do I think that those students should go to jail? Do I think that they should be
Do you
fined
think
by the
that they
government?
should be held to? Okay, so you think that like
I also think, was it at TCU that where people talked about the eight words? I'm talking about the neo-Nazi, we're talking about the 8888.
probably before my time?
Okay, that's probably
Yeah.
that. Or poop swastika, which was proven to be a hoax. No. Yeah, I think people should be able to say things that are wildly offensive,
Yes.
whether it's racist, whether it's
Exactly.
quote-unquote homophobic. I think
Yeah.
I have no problem with it. It doesn't mean I agree with the point of view.
Expression.
If he said if someone said, I don't know what the 3/5. Let me look this
That's
up.
what I
is
was
the
going to
3/5
ask you. I don't
compromise?
know what the 3/5
Let me look.
compromise
You need to look
is.
this. I can't see with
My
this
bad.
right here. Hold up. Okay. Because I'm not sure what that means, but I'm pretty sure I still think it should be protected.
Exactly, whether it's racist, whether it's whatever, because it's somebody's expression.
Yeah.
Just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean you're defending it.
Yeah.
You're defending the act of being able to speak.
The 3/5 compromise was an agreement reached during 1787 over the counting of slaves. Like slaves count towards votes. You can give votes for the amount of slaves you have, or this count would determine the number of seats in the House of Representatives. So based on how many slaves you have, it counts, like slaves don't count as a full person. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But yeah, I do think that should be protected.
The fact that they were writing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, like even if they think it should come back, you can think anything.
Yeah, it's their
like,
expression.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you think it should come back, then you think it should come back. You're just an idiot, but it is what it is.
I think you're stupid, and you are.
If someone says, I think I don't want to say nothing too crazy, but I think slavery should come back. If you say that, I still protect it. It's not
should
going to
go to
happen just
jail.
because you say it. You know, you can't. It's not going to happen just because you say it. That just proves that you're a fucking idiot. You
Yeah.
know. And the thing is, black people say that shit all the time. White slavery should. I just heard white genocide the other day.
Yes.
Like these people, this shit is being said all the time.
Yep.
And everyone has the right to say it. I think it exposes people more than anything. Let someone talk crazy. Now I know you're a fucking racist.
Legit.
Now I don't want to deal with you.
Absolutely.
And
Stay
the
the
world
fuck
knows you're a
away.
racist. It is what it is. Like I have faith in the world that they're not so racist that one person saying some bullshit like that will make everyone become it. You know what I'm saying?
Legit.
I have enough faith in the world, even though it's looking crazy right now because everyone is becoming liberal and wild for no reason, jumping on all of these fucking, no matter what it is, these marginalized group movements
Yep.
for no reason without thinking about anything that has to do with it, just because. So it does look like the world will jump on shit, but I have enough faith that it won't happen to our detriment like that. I
Yeah.
kind of have enough faith in it. So I'd rather it be protected,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
than give an entity power over my
For
words.
real. Free
I'll
speech.
pass.
What's the big deal? It's speech. It's
I'll
words.
pass.
It's blah, blah,
Legit.
blah, blah. It's bullshit that comes
Legit.
out of somebody's fucking mouth.
And then that could be illegal. You know what I'm saying? Like if
Legit.
they say you're not allowed to make words that aren't real words.
Seriously.
You have to say words that are real words.
Like-
If you mess up in a sentence, if you have a Freudian slip, death.
Wow.
Death by hanging. Freudian slip.
I'd be killed
For
over
real.
10
Me
times.
too. Joe
over.
Biden wouldn't be here no more, bro. But, yeah, let's get back
Keep
into this.
going, yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely think that should be protected.
Me too. Fuck it.
I think it should be freedom of speech for all. I believe in the First Amendment, or then you have to determine for me what the line is.
But what about like the repercussions of that speech? Like, I think
Where's the
it's-
line? I guess because I
What's the
noticed that you have a lot of questions. When
That
I
now
ask
we
you
know they're
questions, you
racist?
answer with a
What
question.
happened?
What
Nothing.
Where's the
line are you
line?
asking?
Where's the line?
Yeah,
What happened to your school?
repercussions?
Right. What do you disagree with me on? What do you want to change my mind on?
I think that certain expressions of free speech lead to violent actions occurring. Like,
Okay.
I think that it's very hard to say that there's no correlation there.
No, I didn't say there's no correlation.
Okay. But then how do we exist in a society when we're allowing people to like directly influence or like indirectly violent actions occur?
Bro, you
there's a
can
very
do
big
that
difference,
without
isn't there?
saying anything.
Please explain.
You just said directly or indirectly.
what
Well,
you
there's a
say?
very big difference, isn't there?
But either way, you can do that without saying words. You can by people's actions, you can people could get up and be like, because of that action, now violence, I'm gonna be violent.
Yeah.
And that it's like, what do you mean? It doesn't even. You can incite violence in many different ways, bro. You don't need to just say it. Like, and I'd rather be warned with them fucking words again.
Like, seriously, why don't people?
I don't get how it becomes okay once if you legislate the speech and then they figure out another way to do it, which there's obviously so many different ways to communicate. You can just write the shit. You can you can write in code. You know what I'm saying? Now it's no one else can see it. No one knows what it is.
Change the meaning of words.
Yeah, literally. Come up with your own fucking language, and now it's you beat that.
And you don't know what we're saying.
And then they're really gonna have to legislate. You have to use a certain language,
Yes.
and like it becomes something totally different. And then individuals don't exist anymore.
They don't think long term.
They
These
don't.
People don't understand.
They don't. They
It's
think
like-
about their feelings right now.
Yeah, it's insane.
And everybody else's feelings. You can't make everyone happy, bro.
Nope.
Please explain.
And I'd rather everyone have freedom. You know what I'm
Hell
saying?
yeah.
While everyone's not being made happy, because while everyone's being locked down and not making everyone happy, you think that's going to be a better situation?
For
At least
real.
we could say what we want right now and not make people happy.
Yup.
Because when you are saying everything that everyone wants, you're still not going to make everyone happy.
Nope.
So then, like, what is the purpose? What's the use? You know? And usually that leads to just making one person happy. When you start making laws and shit, them laws start getting turned into a way where it becomes a dictatorship or
Yes.
fascism in any kind of way. And then the Chinese Communist Party is fucking who runs you.
Yep.
You know?
Actions occur.
Well, there's a very big difference.
Directly influence or like indirectly violent actions occur.
Well, there's a very big difference, isn't there?
Please explain.
You just said directly or indirectly.
Directly or indirectly.
Yeah,
Like,
so
okay,
directly-
So the call
so-
to violence is like
so the-
illegal. So if you're calling someone to violence,
Yes.
then you're going to go to jail regardless. You're going to get a fine, whatever. But what if like your speech, the rhetoric that you're putting out to the public, is the reason that eventually a hate crime occurs?
That
like,
happens
shouldn't you
with
be held to
everything.
Some kind of penalty for that?
So
That's
give me
everything.
An example of what kind of speech? Because again, I gave
That's
an example.
everything in the
direct.
world.
So I think this is important because you said you're in the debate team.
Yes.
Right. So direct and indirect are important.
Yeah.
Right. They're antonyms.
Yeah.
Right. So direct, like I said, would be kill Steven Crowder with your car.
Okay.
Okay. What would be an example of indirect hate speech that would lead
If
someone
you-
to commit?
Anyone who kills Steven Crowder with their car will be a terrible person, right? If I say that, what if that person wants to be a terrible person? It's like, okay, the way for me to be terrible is to kill Steven Crowder with my car. Yeah. And you said you're not for anyone killing Steven Crowder.
Yeah.
Or him getting hit by a car. You actually were against it, and you said whoever does it is a terrible person. But because that person doesn't share your values, and now you indirectly influence them to do that. You should go to jail. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Because you didn't.
Because they
mean
can
that.
easily a piece of shit prosecutor will connect it like that,
Yep.
and then you're going to jail.
Yep.
You can't do it because they're gonna follow the letter of the law. Like it doesn't. You cannot do that. That doesn't make sense. Indirect. Like how can you even indirectly causing something, meaning you didn't mean to cause it and it happens?
For real, it's in the title of what you're saying.
Yeah. Like
Indirect.
how can that is crazy. Like what?
Violence that you believe needs to be controlled or legislated.
If someone is constantly tweeting out like racial slurs, like
What is
Well,
that?
I was trying to go
that
with the
means
Steven Crowder
nothing.
example, but let's say, okay, let's say
Do
I
you want it to
say,
be a
let's
Steven
say I'll
Crowder
say this. Someone says, black people are inferior to white people. Or someone says, black people are inferior to Asians or Russians, whatever it is, take your pick, okay? And then someone later on,
Crowder's a virgin. Is that what he said?
that's the sound of losing an argument. So someone says something racist.
okay,
Down the line, someone says, I was inspired by this racist statement to commit an act of violence.
okay.
Okay? What's your view on that? Is that what we're talking about as
I think
indirect?
that correlation is what's dangerous. I think because language constructs reality.
I think
because what
your
people are putting out
correlation is
there
dangerous.
oftentimes the reason why certain actions occur. I think that there's
Sure.
not necessarily limitations or censorship. I don't believe in that at all. But
Then what
there
are you
has to
talking
like be a line drawn at some point.
So you do
Yeah.
believe in
You're not-
censorship then? That you can't do that.
And you can't explain what the line should be. You can't
But no,
explain it. She can't explain anything.
You can't say I don't believe in censorship and then say,
There needs
but
to be
there
a
needs to be a
line.
line. You can't say that. That doesn't make any sense. you do believe in censorship, then that means there's a line. Like, that's literally what censorship means. It doesn't mean where the line is. A line is censorship. You know what I'm saying? Wherever the line is depends on whoever the fuck is making the line. But the line is the thing that you're saying you're against, but then say you think there should be a line. You can't say those two things. You can't.
Yeah.
Not at all, but there has to like be a line drawn at some point.
Well, if you're not, did you just say that you don't support any kind of legislation or censorship, but there does need to be a line
I
drawn?
don't support censorship. I certainly don't think that like the government should be interfering in what's put out in the media,
So
but I
what
think
do you-
that's different than what someone is like tweeting out. If someone's tweeting out this,
That's
violent,
media.
like, I'm trying to like draw a distinction, but I don't think you're getting me. That's fine.
There's
No,
no
I think I am
distinction.
getting you.
Okay.
Yeah, I
You just
do
said you don't
too.
support any kind of legislation or censorship, but there does need to be a line drawn. So what do you mean by line?
You can't say
Like
either.
decency,
You can't say that.
humanity. I think that
Oh, I
like
agree.
yeah.
I agree.
And
So I don't understand what you're arguing then.
I'm talking about hate
Bitch.
speech as legislation.
how do
As it
you
exists-
not understand what he's arguing? You're the one who walked up to argue, bitch. He said
Yeah.
you. What are you arguing? Do you see how this world is working?
Yo.
What do you think about that?
I don't think she has any idea. She has no definite argument in her own
At all.
in her own head. She doesn't know.
She wanted to argue.
Yeah, she wanted to, and then she's realizing, I think, that she doesn't have any
How is she gonna say?
balance,
Well, then what are you
balance.
arguing when you're the one who's supposed to come up and argue? Like that's like
Yeah,
it just
like,
explains everything.
She's like, I don't understand what you're arguing. Then you really don't understand because you shouldn't have stepped up there.
You're the one who was supposed to come with the argument.
And he's telling you, I'm hate speech.
He's telling you exactly how he feels, and now you are not responding with anything. You just keep saying there should be a line drawn. Then he says, expand.
I think she
you
repeated
don't.
herself for like 8 minutes.
She did.
She
She
just
did.
constantly repeated
You were
herself.
right. She was gonna be triggering, but even less than triggering, she's just dumb.
she's dumb.
in my home country of Canada, you said
Doing then.
I'm talking about hate speech.
And then she's trying to make it.
Yes.
She's saying it in a
So I
way
don't
where it's
understand-
like
I'm still
like
smart.
he's dumb.
Yeah.
She's making it seem like he's the one who's tripping.
Yeah.
Like, bitch,
Yeah.
no, you're the one bugging. Like, what are you arguing then? I got him, guys.
For real. Like, no, bitch, you walked up to
He's a
here.
clown.
You walked up to me
Legit.
and started to argue.
With your
I'm
fucking
ready. Let's
winged
go.
out eyelashes.
You're arguing then.
I'm talking about hate speech as legislation, as it
As
exists in my
legis-
home country of Canada. You said
But what
Russia.
are the laws in
or
Canada?
UK.
I'm not familiar
So,
with them.
we
You
just
just
talked about
said
this with,
when
In the
he
beginning,
said
she said, I
yes,
disagree with you. Yeah.
you don't even know what's going on in Canada, and you disagreed that it wasn't a bad place. It wasn't messed up over there. Like, what is this bitch doing, bro? And it just proves that you can present yourself any kind of way.
Absolutely.
She said the first thing she said, I'm on the debate team. I'm captain of the debate team here, so this is gonna be a walk in the park. It's basically what she said.
Let's do this. You cameras rolling? Like, you
Stupid.
dirty bitch.
You're gonna want to get this.
Yeah.
Like,
This one's
come
for
on.
the book. She's like about it, yo.
Yeah,
she really
but isn't.
thinks- I know.
But isn't.
She thinks she's like she's ready for this.
This
but
looks
she ain't.
awkward. This would be awkward, and she's trying hard to make it not
slowly
awkward.
dying inside.
Yes, this should be on one of those compilations of dying inside, because this is what dying inside looks like.
Yeah.
I believe Nick was his name. In Canada, you can be fined for hate speech. I have a friend who's a comedian who was put before Human Rights Tribunal for telling a joke. In the UK, it's over 3,000 people per year alone. Just recently, a girl was charged with a hate crime for posting Snoop Dogg lyrics on her Facebook page because it included the N-word. I'm sure you're familiar with Count Dankula, the dog that did the Nazi salute, right?
Wild.
So in other countries,
A dog.
you can be charged, convicted
Wild.
For criminal behavior
Wait, what?
based on
He
speech.
said a
We have the
dog
First Amendment.
that did the Nazi
I
song.
thought he meant like a cartoon or something. What is Count Dankula?
I don't.
I gotta look that up,
I
guys.
hope it's
Sorry.
a cartoon because if
Sorry,
they find
guys.
somebody because their dog did a salute, I'm
Yeah.
gonna fucking.
I gotta look this up. Count Dankula,
Oh, okay.
Scottish YouTuber. No, it's a
Dog.
salute dog.
Yeah.
Okay. Supreme Court appeal blocked for man in pug Nazi.
It was his dog, right?
That's what it said. Hold up. Meacham recorded his girlfriend's pug Buddha responding to statements such as "Sig Heil" by raising its paw.
Oh, he trained
So
it.
he lifted its arm.
So the dog's trained.
Oh,
to,
he taught the dog. So he
the
got
dog's
found
giving
guilty.
paw because the
Bro,
dog gives paw.
Bro, if my dog could give the Nazi salute, I'm definitely making that joke every day, bro. I might teach my dog some shit like that.
But think about it. When you think of a pug sitting down and you say, and
Paw,
it gives
lifts
you
up
its paw,
yeah.
it's raising his paw.
So you
it's
just
all
taught
what
it
you
with the word.
say.
Yeah, you taught it with that word.
Exactly. They're bugging.
But they literally found him guilty of a hate crime, and then he tried to appeal it and lost the appeal. They just said no to his appeal. Like, that's crazy too. It's just like this world is getting more and more out of control as we go, bro. The dog, like, you can't even make dark jokes. You can't even, and that's like my whole thing.
Legit.
That's my whole thing.
We're dark over here.
Oh my, racist? Dark.
Maybe.
Okay.
The dog that did the Nazi salute.
That's wild.
Right? So in other countries, you can be charged, convicted for criminal behavior based on speech.
Okay.
We have the First Amendment, so we
Crazy.
don't have that here.
It gets
The term
slippery.
hate speech in those countries is used to create that line, which, by the way, that authority has been granted to their government. In the United States, thankfully, hate speech doesn't mean anything. It's not a legal terminology. Lots of people would like to change that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. But if it seems like we agree. If you don't believe that the government should have any role,
She already said
in
a line
legislating
should be
speech at all,
drawn.
and you're good with it, then I think we agree.
No. Okay, so if someone
She
were to
wants
draw
to disagree.
swastika in our commons, is their speech protected?
Yes.
Well, hold on a second here. Speech is different from
graffiti.
freedom of expression. And a lot of people say freedom of...
No. I think that they're very intimately correlated.
No.
Like people express their speech through different aspects. Yeah.
No.
For sure.
No, legally they're not the same thing. So that being said, the campus, of course, can do what they want.
Yeah.
Especially
It's
if a
illegal to
private
graffiti,
campus.
right?
They can do what they want, just like a private business can do what they want. I saw you brought up Twitter
You do
earlier.
graffiti.
But freedom of expression is actually not in the Constitution anywhere. Freedom of speech is.
Yep.
And the reason for that is, as you said, people express themselves in different ways. Some people can express themselves in ways that are very destructive, physically, as a matter of fact. As a matter of fact, even if you look at artists, they actually often do things that are physically damaging, if not to their own bodies, to other people.
Yeah.
Speech, by itself, speech is not destructive to that degree. That's why freedom of speech is protected.
Because it's just words.
In the First
Just
Amendment of the
words.
Constitution, and freedom of expression isn't.
It's
So I'd
crazy.
like to get-
It's crazy that, like, when you're growing up as a kid, like, you don't even think about how important speech is. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like, what that means. What, like, I've heard First Amendment my entire life, but until I became an adult and, like, really realized what this government is trying to do, it's like, you don't realize what's at stake at
It's
all.
Not a joke.
At all. Like, imagine if as a kid you could not do the way you
Yeah.
talked as a kid.
Say
Like, you literally had to
anything.
watch out, like,
Yeah.
for like real consequences, not
Can't
just
be
your
a
parents
kid.
saying
Yeah.
whatever. Like you couldn't even say certain statements. Certain
Yep.
statements were like swears. Like, that's crazy.
You couldn't be a kid.
Not even swears, like legal swears. Actually, it's
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah. Crazy.
And in these other countries, they like kill people. You know what I'm saying? They take people out for shit like that.
They sure
and
do.
that's what these people don't understand. By just legislating it in the beginning,
Slippery slope.
when it's not legislated at all, something like talking, putting any legislation on that shit, you are now setting yourself up for that in the end. It's
In the future,
it's going to lead
absolutely.
to that no matter what.
Because then
That's
it's
why you can't start it. You can't
Yeah.
allow it to happen.
Can't even let
the
it
first
start.
right away. That's why this is such a big
it's
issue.
a serious thing. It's not a joke. Like
Because
you
as
said,
soon
it
as you give them any legislation in it, they're fucking
starts with one
amending
thing.
and amending and amending and amending and amending, and then it's like you can't say shit.
Nope. Yo, that's wild. People
Yeah,
are-
but they
people-
don't think like that.
People do not think
The
at
damage,
all. I don't think.
the damage that words are doing, supposedly the indirect damage, is minuscule compared to what would happen if you legislated it.
Absolutely.
Because then words mean nothing. People die over the, like, words mean everything, but then they mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? Your words mean nothing.
Yep.
Now, because your words are representative of whoever the fuck makes the rules. So you can't even speak on what you actually feel now. So your words literally mean nothing. You're saying everything you can to stay alive, basically, and to not
wild.
get charged.
That is wild.
But your words mean everything. So you have to
Yeah,
think on
'cause you
it.
can't-
Think about what you say times 10,
Yep.
but you could say times a million less, you know? Like, is what it's going to end up being. That's
Wild.
scary, bro.
It's very, very scary.
Keep the conversation to speech, because that's what we're talking is not destructive to that degree. That's why freedom of speech is protected in the First Amendment under the Constitution, and freedom of expression isn't. So I'd like to keep the conversation to speech, because that's what we're talking about.
So speech, the things that people like utter,
the things that people
and
say.
Perhaps, like,
There's
on
only
the
one
internet. I don't know if you
bitch.
think people are exercising their freedom of speech on like Twitter.
If we're talking about the written word, we can
Written
include
word and
written
okay,
word.
utterances.
Yeah,
That's
written
totally
written word is
fine.
speaking. Yeah,
Bro, she's
which is
being
important
too
because
much
that's
for
actually
me.
a delineation because of libel versus
Semantics.
slander.
Yeah.
But
Certainly.
So
She's acting like
sounds
she
you agree
knows what she's talking
that
about.
speech shouldn't have any limitations. The government shouldn't
I
put
think
limitations.
She
there's
doesn't wanna
certain
agree
points
so
that we
bad.
agree on,
I know.
But where we
She doesn't want to agree so bad. Every time he said this sounds like we agree, she says right away.
No. My friends are watching. No.
No, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way we agree. There's no way.
Shouldn't have any limitations. The government shouldn't
I
put
think that
limitations.
there's
So, which is important because that's actually an important delineation because of libel versus slander. But
Certainly.
So sounds like you agree that speech shouldn't have any limitations. The government shouldn't
I
put
think that there's
limitations on
several
speech.
points that we agree on, but where we disagree on is that I believe that oftentimes hate speech can be the catalyst towards violent crimes and violent actions.
No,
and
he
acts
never
of
disagreed with
hatred.
that.
I don't think we're
All he
agreeing
said was
on
it
that
should be
point.
protected.
Okay. So how do you fix it then?
Perhaps begin a culture where hate speech isn't normalized. I feel like hateful rhetoric
What?
has become normalized recently.
It hasn't,
especially,
though.
in the status quo, people believe that they
Wrong.
can put anything out there or say anything without
That's
any
not
true.
sort of punishment. Not punishment.
They really can though. That's
If
the
you wanna
thing.
get technical.
Well, you're kind of contradicting yourself there. Punishment would mean punishment. By,
Legal.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you're in a debate, right? What is it?
Hold on, my bad. I don't understand what is actually. She said that she's not for censorship, but then she keeps saying it feels like she has something personal against like Twitter
Yeah.
and like or something, because she just keeps saying people could just post whatever they want. Could
Yes.
just post whatever they want. Like
Yep.
she's really trying to like go work for Twitter then, and go work for Facebook, because technically they can ban the speech,
Yep.
and they have every day. So you got your way, but
Yeah.
like I feel like once you start with that type of thinking, right, you can post anything on, then it starts going to, once that's a private company, so they can do whatever they want, but it's not going to be enough.
No.
It's not, because then you're going to be like, okay, I don't want to hear it in this, and I don't want to hear it, and then
Yep.
and it's more selfish than they're trying to make it seem like. They're trying to make it seem like it's to help everybody, but it's just to help you.
Yes, because in the end of at the end of the day, what does anybody else, when anybody else says words or says anything, when you go to sleep at night, what does it really do to you?
Nothing. Nothing.
Speech doesn't even affect you unless you
Nothing.
let it affect you.
100%.
So it's
100%.
personal. It's
It is.
personal for everybody. Like,
It is.
let anybody say whatever the hell they want to say. Like,
is.
who cares?
That's the thing. That's why, you see, like, I'd rather argue with people than really censor people, you know? Like, that's why people like, you could just block people. You could just block people. You could just block people. But I'd rather sit there and argue with people. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because I just feel like the free speech thing is just
Yeah.
something that you always, everyone has to deal with.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know.
Hell
It's ingrained in me,
Because if
it
you
feels
put
like.
it in one person, if you make it for one person, then everybody else is gonna say no, do this too,
Yep.
this too, and then it's just
And you
too
have
much.
to, then you exactly.
It's
Then
way
you
too
gotta
much.
be soft on
Yep.
or everybody is gonna try to limit what you say, and then it's gonna be everything limited.
Yep.
Because nobody likes everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be if someone hates it, they're gonna have to limit it.
Yeah.
They have to be okay. You can't say this now. Now you can't say this. Now you can't say this. Now you can't say this. Now you can't. And they're already trying to do that, because I just heard them saying that they were trying to take the word blackmail away. They're trying to take all these words away. They're trying to take
Oh my
blackmail,
God.
something else black, like powwow, all these words that have to do with
God.
people's cultures. They want you to not be able to say them now.
Wild.
Yep. So anyway, it's just crazy, man.
What does punishment mean?
It depends, the body of who is putting
Okay,
the punishment.
but the
among-
person who would
yeah.
be administering punishment would have to be in a position of authority.
Yes.
Perhaps it could be
No,
some
yes.
Twitter bots who are regulating Twitter. Or
Well, that's more we're talking
Twitter
about
again.
The colloquialism, but we're talking about actual punishment, right? You
Okay.
said
Twitter
without
again.
Punishment. Punishment would have to come from some authority figure, right?
Okay.
Someone has the authority to punish somebody else.
Okay.
So that would be
I think that you're
Government?
parametricizing hate speech to something that, I don't buy your definition that it's only, what can be legislated as it is in Canada.
What?
Hateful rhetoric exists.
What is she talking about?
Yes, I said that right at the outset.
What
People
is
say
she
hateful
saying?
things.
But you said that hate
But they
speech
should be
is
allowed
only
to.
what should be like what in the status quo is like legislated or like laws are placed
Yes.
As
Oh
far
my
as
God.
what we're talking about today, hate speech.
So
as
what
lobby-
she's trying to control culture.
Yes.
Is what she's saying. She doesn't want it to be legislated, but she wants everybody to change and not be able to
hateful.
do what they want to do.
Yeah.
If someone hates somebody, they should be able to say it.
Yep.
I think. Because
Who
how
cares?
does that hurt anybody?
Who
If
cares?
someone hates me, okay, whatever you hate me for, it's because of them. They're the one who feels the
Yes.
hatred. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm
Doesn't
just
change
being
you.
me.
Yep. Doesn't change how you feel.
Legit. I'm just being me. They're the ones who have to feel it. And whether or not they say it or not means nothing because they're still going to feel it. And then they can act on that because they're repressing their motherfucking feelings and not being able to speak on it.
Mm-hmm.
So since they can't speak on it now, they're going to take me out because they can't be heard.
Yo.
You know what I'm saying? Or some shit like that. That's just like, why can't we just let people speak? I don't
For
understand. I don't understand.
Don't listen.
Yeah, maybe he's a poet. Maybe he wants to put some rhymes to it. If he put some rhymes to it, it'd be fine, right? And talked about killing his own people
Right.
all day, he'd be fine, right? It's crazy.
on this campus. For example, let me give you kind of a jumping off point. As far as
in the status quo is like legislated or like laws are placed
yes,
upon.
as far as what we're talking about today, hate speech as it's lobbed on this campus. For example, let me give you kind of a jumping off point. The reason we're back here, I was accused of hate speech.
Okay. When?
For the last time I was here on this campus,
Okay.
with a son that said rape culture is a myth.
Well,
changed my mind.
I will actually say that I entirely disagreed with. I think you have a right to be here. You have a right to engage in peaceful discourse with students, and I think it's
thank
kind
you.
of ridiculous when they start screaming and crying and can't control their emotions.
Well,
But
I believe you're right about
appreciate
that.
it. Thank you.
I believe
a lot
you're
of
right.
people
I
said
agree
that
with
was
that.
hate speech.
okay.
So it serves to illuminate that many different people have different lines of what determines hate speech.
Okay.
That's why it has to come down to some kind of a
Legal, yeah.
identifiable
Because it's
definition.
all about how you
In the
feel.
United States, it
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
You can say
Everybody
I love you
has-
as hate speech.
Exactly.
I agree
Everybody
with
has
that.
different
I'm
beliefs.
pro hate speech not existing as a legal term. I'm pro First Amendment. I am never going to disagree with anyone who says that some people speak hatefully. Now, you keep going back to sometimes people speak hatefully or they use hateful rhetoric and someone misconstrues that to commit an act of violence. I, of course, still think that's protected.
Absolutely.
So you think that religious leaders, let's say Ayatollah Khomeini, who constantly goes death to America and constantly perpetuates rhetoric that Americans are Western invaders who are horrible and deserve to die. Is his speech protected if Iran didn't
What?
have such terrible
Wait,
laws?
what?
Well, I think I was going to say, I think it'd be
Yeah.
more fair to use an American example. Which was
yeah,
Farrakhan.
that's not.
Okay.
How can we stop him from
Do
talking
you
what he
think
talks?
that his speech is protected?
His speech is protected.
So when people
He's his own
religious
fucking
zealots
person.
go out and commit crimes in
In
the
a
name
whole
of their
different country.
religion, the
Like
rhetoric that
Islam?
incited that violence should
Just say
continue
Islam.
to be protected.
Yes. Now, unless it's a direct call to action. For example, Louis Farrakhan goes out and he's called Jews everything, I think, from the white devil
Sure
to the
has.
mongrels. He's been very
He sure the fuck has, bro.
He has
So
the right
much.
to speak freely, absolutely. Now, if someone goes out and says, I killed somebody or I beat up a Jewish person at a pro-Palestinian protest because Farrakhan called them white devils, Farrakhan's speech is still protected.
You're the killer.
Yeah,
You think it's not?
he didn't tell him to.
I certainly believe that if a nation isn't doing anything to stop the rhetoric that's inciting these horrible shootings,
She's
that's
just saying the
perhaps
same
the person
shit.
who did the shooting heard some inflammatory or fear-mongering rhetoric in advance. I just don't understand how we continue to allow this type of
What do you mean
rhetoric
allow?
and speech to exist in the status quo when we know that it directly correlates and directly creates and incites violence.
What do you mean
How
allow?
do we as a country
Well, first off,
allow
we don't know that it directly correlates to violence. What we do know is that if you look at every single major free rights, human rights movement in the United States, it started with speech.
Okay.
It started with speech from minority groups. Whether you're talking about the civil rights movement in the 60s, whether you're talking about, or even more recently, where people would use gay marriage as an example.
And it's
It
against-
starts with people in the
and it's
minority
against the
who afford
majority,
the same
yes.
rights as those in the majority to speak
Exactly.
freely.
Facts.
I believe that those minorities should be afforded the exact same liberties and freedom as anyone who's in a majority,
Listen.
regardless of
Yo,
how many
hell
electoral
yeah.
votes they represent.
Bro, we gotta
He
go
be
back. We gotta run that
spitting
back real
truth.
quick. That was a this nigga, he just went crazy, bro. Because that is, it obviously wasn't crazy,
No, but
it was,
it's so
that was
well.
facts.
Yeah.
That was absolute facts, bro. If she says, why does a whole nation allow the minority, if someone feels a way, to speak that way?
Yep.
Because exactly, civil rights movement started the same way. Civil rights was, before it was segregation. Everything was fucking the way it was, and that was fine.
Yep.
Everyone was fine with it. And then the civil rights movement started with the minority. and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger,
Free
and then
speech.
exactly free speech is why people are equal right now.
Yes, why we have the best country in the
That's
world.
it.
Why we are free.
But they only put the she only keeps talking about the negative.
Yes.
I like that Steven said that, because usually when people speak on these type of things, they only speak on why it's bad, why it's bad, why it's bad, why free speech is bad. But like, why is it good?
Yeah.
Because it's done way more good than it has bad.
Absolutely, which is why we need it.
And then, like, you cannot stop one person from saying something. It does not matter. No matter what is she saying, she's saying the nation. So we have to make people feel bad and hate saying this type of stuff is what she's saying.
Yeah.
But no matter what, there's always going to be that ignorant person
Every time.
who knows that you don't want them to say it, so
Yep.
they're gonna say it.
Yep.
And they don't care about the consequence. So what are you even saying? All you got to do is, and it is what it is. It just doesn't make sense. Her argument, and it's a very immature argument. And
Yes.
I understand it, because I used to have that same kind of argument. Even though I was always for freedom of speech, I still used to, when I used to be super liberal, be like, people should say this, people shouldn't say this just because they respect me, and da-da-da. Like, I used to have this crazy way of thinking. But like, if people really, like, if we get along, we're gonna speak to each other respectfully. If we don't, we're not. That's
is
just
what
how
it
it
is.
goes,
Yeah.
bro. That's just the world. And I should be able to say what I want to say too.
Hell
So I
yeah.
can't stop you from saying what you want to say.
Exactly.
If I want to say what I want to say.
But I think she's like borderline. I think she has the potential to
Yeah,
switch
absolutely.
sides.
Yep. It's because she's in college and
Yes.
she's still young.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
She's actually further along than I was.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So she might.
Those in the majority to speak freely. The civil rights movement in the 60s, whether you're talking about, or even more recently,
As annoying
people
as she
use
is.
gay marriage as an example, starts with people in the minority who are afforded the same rights as those in the majority to speak freely. I believe that those minorities should be afforded the exact same liberties and freedom as anyone who's in a majority, regardless of how many electoral votes they represent.
Okay.
So I think it's, if it comes down to what you're talking about, you said we continue to allow. That's
Steven Crowder's
actually
a real one.
Yeah.
interesting
is.
language to me, because we don't allow anything. I
That's
mean,
it.
if we believe in the First Amendment, right, it's we
not
don't
allowing.
grant basic human rights, birthrights.
Okay.
You're
The term
born with 'em.
inalienable, I'm sure you're familiar
Yes.
with, means these rights come from
So
God.
God.
exactly.
Yeah. Let's
So
just
how can
say
we
the
fucking
universe.
stop
Let's
it?
see if you don't believe in God.
Okay.
Right? The point is, they're not granted by government. They're not granted by a Supreme Court.
Yeah.
They're
By
granted
me,
by voters.
by you.
It's a
Okay.
birthright. So when you say we allow this hateful rhetoric,
Yeah.
we're not
It's-
allowing anything.
it's
People are
given.
speaking freely, and we can't interfere with that. That's what our
Absolutely.
basis of laws is. I mean, it's fundamental.
Hell yeah.
Do you have any like?
Don't even need it. Steven Crowder kills it. Bro, he is a real one.
He really is.
He is a real one. Yo. I don't like he's a real one, bro.
Yeah.
He just that's all I can say, man. He really
And
is.
if you really
If I
listen
were-
to him, you
Yeah.
understand. You can.
Yes.
You get it. Well, you get it.
Where he's coming from, he's
Yeah.
coming from a genuine patriot standpoint.
Yes.
It's crazy because he's from Canada, bro.
Yep.
And it's just like he really does get it. He gets it, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Laws I mean, it's fundamental.
Do you have any like?
What,
If
you
I
want
were
to
to
say
bring to you a
examples?
study, I don't have it, but I assume
Okay.
studies on both sides that show everything exists. If I were to bring you a study that said that there's a direct correlation between hateful speech and violent crimes,
Yeah.
you would say that nothing needs to be done and we can just allow that continue to exist in the status quo?
You don't
I would
have
ask
Doesn't
you
that
what you
matter,
think needs
though?
to be done. Let's say you have that study and it says
Yeah.
hateful speech. First off, we need to define hateful speech. Something offensive?
I think hateful speech, like the definitions that I've seen from like Merriam-Webster, Oxford,
Stop
like
saying Merriam-Webster.
directly
Merriam-Webster,
state that this hateful speech is like
not
targeted
Marian.
towards minority groups, like
Okay.
normally, like that's what it's defined as.
My
Okay.
bad.
State that this hateful
I
speech
didn't
is
hear what
like-
she said. I just talked over because she's annoying me.
Something offensive?
I think hateful speech, like the definitions that I've seen from like Merriam-Webster, Oxford, like directly state that this hateful speech is like targeted towards minority groups, like
Okay.
normally, like that's what it's defined as.
Okay, so it could be like conservatives on college campus.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Does it include, for example, someone posting Snoop Dogg lyrics to their Facebook?
that's where I think that there's a problem. I think that people misconstrue what hate speech is. Like when it's truly
That's
like
what's gonna
ridiculous.
happen.
Like people
That's
like
always
take it out of
what's gonna
hand.
happen.
People can't control their emotions.
So
People
then
are enraged by like stupidity.
That's what's
honestly.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
But you understand, for example, like Count Dankula, the dog we just talked about. You
Certainly
think those are
that person
absurd?
shouldn't have been put in like prison for that. That's
Right.
absurd.
But these are the most moderate examples.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The more severe example, what
Yeah.
you mentioned being from Russia, would be Stalin.
Yeah.
Would be Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
So the best examples we have still resulted in unintended consequences and
Exactly.
gross violations of human rights.
So why
They're on
would
the freedom
we
of speech.
go towards
There is
that
no good
ever?
example.
Okay. So do you think it would be a slippery slope if the United States implemented laws for
Yes.
hate speech?
I think it's the only place left that actually, well, first off, it's a place that created freedom of speech as we
Yes.
know it, and it's the only place
Yep.
that exists.
Okay.
I think that's a good thing, and I don't
Yes.
think that should change.
Facts.
And I don't think that
Why
that should
would it?
change,
Exactly.
regardless of whether there's a study or not that would say someone says something hateful, and there's an increase
It's
in violence.
American.
Let's go with you
Absolutely.
on that and say that that's true. I think that the good far outweighs the bad. I think there's a
Yes.
far greater risk in limiting people's individual freedoms
Yes.
and granting the authority as to what's permissible as it relates to speech to a centralized government.
So do you think the good speech can outweigh that bad speech and like those violent crimes? Like I'm trying
Stop
to like
saying
understand
this.
like
I think that's the
You keep
best way
saying
to
the
combat
same thing.
hateful speech. Yes,
She keeps
I
saying the
know.
same thing.
It's
These
driving me
violent crimes,
crazy.
these violent crimes, these violent crimes. What about all the violent crimes that don't happen from
And
freedom of speech?
exactly. And
Because everybody has freedom of speech in this country, and everyone isn't doing violent crimes. So
Legit.
those are incidents that come from whatever the fuck else people are
There's
experiencing.
so many other
There's-
crimes.
Yes, there's so much stimuli in this country that could be the catalyst for so many
Crimes.
of these violent crimes. And she said, "What if I brought you a study that says?" That freedom of speech correlates with violent crimes.
yep.
What else does it correlate with? Non-violent crimes, non-violent not crimes. Like, what are you even saying?
yo,
There's so many
legit.
good things that come from it. It just does not even make sense that you are
and
saying things like this.
the only crime she came with was the Pulse shooting.
Yes.
She didn't have any other
but
violent
even
crimes.
then, I didn't even understand what she was trying to say.
Me
Because
either.
she was saying his hate speech.
I don't know. She confused me on that because I don't
Because-
really know much about that.
Stopping his hate speech doesn't do anything to stop his hate crime.
Yeah, his
You know what I'm
murdering
saying?
spree.
Hate crime. Mm-hmm. It's just a crime that he committed, regardless, because he
Yeah.
was just whatever the fuck he like. You don't even know what it is.
Like if he didn't name
You
it a
don't
hate
e-
crime, it would have been just a
Yes.
shooting crime.
And you don't even know what his stimuli was. He could say he was all about this, all about this, all about
Yep.
this, but maybe he doesn't even know why he did it,
Exactly.
because it's not a logical thing to do. Shooting up a club is not logical. So it's obviously not a logical person you're dealing with. So obviously it wasn't freedom of speech that did that. The dude is a fucking idiot. That's what happens. The logical people are still sitting fine with their freedom of speech, not doing violent crimes.
Yep.
That's what's happening here.
Absolutely.
Like, and when you legislate that, there's people out here who are trying to spread a message. Like, let's say whatever your message is, you can't spread it without freedom of speech. Whatever your message
Yeah,
is.
what you're doing right now, the
Yes.
arguing and the disagreeing and the fact that
You have
you
to-
want it to be legislated
Yes.
is freedom of speech.
the if you're gonna make up a study, right, of correlation of freedom of speech and violent crimes, why don't you make up a study of the bad things that can happen from legislating
Yep.
your speech?
Exactly.
That's what you need to be making up, because that shit is infinite, and it could result in the death of everybody.
Yep.
Like,
For real.
the fact that we are the last and only place with freedom of speech, you don't think that
That's
other countries
wild.
don't want that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you think our country, like the leaders of our country, want that?
For real.
Like, you're fighting against something that everybody is trying to stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be preserving your rights of freedom, your rights, period. Because of course we're the only country that's not completely locked down, like, by their government.
Yep.
Why would you? That does it. Imagine, like, it just doesn't. I just can't even imagine a world without America.
Me either. I
Like,
couldn't. I really
I
couldn't.
don't want to.
Never. Never.
I really don't want to.
Hell no. I love America.
Me too, man. With a passion.
Is good speech. I just don't think it's the government's role to step in and say what kind of speech is permissible.
Especially since the government is us.
And it sounds to me like
It's
you
people
agree.
like us.
I do think that like I'm drawing a distinction as to like
Did you see this dude? You see this dude right here?
Yeah, he's been making crazy faces.
You seen him? Cause
Yeah.
you're like, he did like that. I can't use my eyebrows, man.
I do think that, like, I'm drawing a distinction as to, like, I truly believe that there's a correlation between the two, and if we're not doing anything, even as a people or as a government, legislating, like, some
Okay, so there we go. This is what this is kind of the debate team thing, right?
Yeah.
We're going round. Now it comes down to the truth, right? You said, as a people, we need to be doing some kind of legislating. What legislating?
So
and what
she
speech
doesn't
is
want
worthy of
censorship.
legislating?
I don't think we have a good country to take an example off of. I don't think anyone's done it properly. I think that they've taken it either too far, like the Count Dankula
Do you
example
think
that
we
you continue
won't?
to bring up.
Okay.
As
What-
extreme
I
as
don't think I
America
brought up
is.
several examples.
Yeah,
do you want
you
me to
did,
cycle
you
through them
did.
again?
No, we're good. I
Okay,
got
good.
it.
Because debate, you're misrepresenting me there, but go ahead. continue.
My bad if I'm doing that. I don't believe that we can exist in a country that respects democracy and equality if we're allowing people to continue putting forth hateful
We're
rhetoric
doing it
that
right now.
incites violence.
We're doing it
So,
right now.
God,
Again,
that's
I
all
asked
she
you,
keeps
what
saying.
legislation? You've already said you are okay with, you think it would be a superior choice to
Yeah.
give the authority over to the government to legislate speech.
Yeah.
How so?
Well,
Explain.
certainly we don't have like a really great definition of hate speech thus far. Like,
Oh my
any
God.
hateful rhetoric is.
So what he
Oh my
was saying, now
God.
she's making his points for legislation. He just
Literally.
said, what is the definition of hate speech? And you tried to define it, didn't have a definition, and now you're saying we don't have a good definition. So obviously you cannot legislate this.
Yo, and if she says hateful rhetoric one more time, I'm gonna fucking.
And violent crimes.
Oh my God.
This is crazy, bro.
Yeah, she's
just regurgitating some
Yeah.
bullshit. She keeps trying to make the same point. She thinks it's gonna
Yes.
hit one of these times.
Yes.
She thinks one of these times
Like-
it's gonna hit. She keeps going.
She lets him ask the
hateful,
question.
Violent, hateful.
Yes.
Hateful. She's trying to come from all these different angles, and it's just
Yeah.
not working.
She lets him ask the question, acts like she understands, and is gonna say something, and then just comes with this fucking hateful rhetoric bullshit
Hateful rhetoric leads to violent crimes
and fear mongering.
and fear mongering.
totally
Okay,
biased.
so you define it,
It's-
because I'm not the one advocating legislation,
Absolutely.
right? You are. So
Oh.
you define it. We should legislate blank kind of speech that we're not right now.
I think speech that has the ability to incite violence. But again, how do you weigh that? I think that it's a tricky balancing act that has to be
How do you weigh that?
passed.
She said it
I
again.
am not a politician, nor am I part of the legislature
what are
in
you
the United
talking
States,
about?
so I wouldn't be able to come up with like.
But you're willing to give that power over to the legislature.
if they
And
properly implement
She-
laws.
and she's. How can they?
so
if
what's
they?
the proper way then?
Yes.
You still can't. You can't.
You
yo.
can't just say shit.
You're dumb, bitch.
But also, damn, I forgot what I was gonna say now. Oh, I forgot. Hold on. Let me go back.
be able to come up with like.
But you're willing.
Oh yeah.
I am not a
yes,
politician,
yes.
nor am.
Okay. So she says, I'm not a politician, nor whatever. But like, you understand, these politicians are people like you.
They all start somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they're just people like you. They
Yeah.
shouldn't have the right to legislate my God-given freedom.
Yeah, who are they? They're you need. Yes,
They are human
that's
beings
the
like
problem.
me. They're not God.
Yes, you need to humanize everybody.
Yeah. How the fuck do they look telling me what I can say?
They're
When it's a God-given freedom.
They're just humans. They fucking
All they can do is stop you from saying
Legit.
things. That's all they can do. That's all you're asking for with legislation. Please give me rules and boundaries.
Yep.
Like, bro, without them, with the boundaries, they're still going to get crossed.
yeah.
You're not really doing anything. You're really not. All you're doing is getting people arrested for something that you don't like to hear.
Yep.
Because people are still going to say these things regardless. It just does not
Yeah.
make any sense. They're trying to stop thought.
Yep.
They're trying to control thought. This is a regular person right here, not understanding that she is corrupted by something, power somehow.
Something.
This is like power corruption when you're trying to control people's thoughts.
Am I part of the legislature in the United States? So I wouldn't be able to come up with like.
But you're willing to give that power over to the legislature.
if they properly implement laws.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
How would they properly implement it? No one here.
I
you-
certainly don't think this is North Korea. I don't think people should be imprisoned for like exercising
That's where it's
their
gonna
free
go.
speech. But I do think that we need to draw
That's
a
the
line
only
in
place
order
you
to
can
stop
go.
these like incendiary forms of speech from perpetuating throughout the masses.
I guess I'm still. What is that line?
What is that line?
Yeah. What is that line?
That's very difficult to say, and now I understand why you say that hate speech isn't real. There's no real definition of hate speech that exists in the status quo that can be applicable to like legislate. Like,
And as you acknowledge,
Exactly.
everywhere else that it has been applicable has been terrible.
Yes.
From the extreme examples to the most moderate examples. You just said no country that has basically incorporated what you're proposing as sort of vague legislation right
you
now.
want a fantasy.
No country has done it well.
so you said the United Kingdom had 3,000
About
funds?
want a
3,000 per
fantasy.
year.
Okay, do you have a statistic showing how many of those are like righteously like deserved, or is it?
Well, I don't think that any
of them.
Are outside of actual.
What part are you not understanding?
Okay.
Again, that's what's most important. I don't think any example in Canada of a comedian being fined or put before human rights tribunal is okay. But again, I'm not the one proposing legislation. I'm good with the First Amendment.
Yep.
You're the one who is proposing a change, but you can't draw the line as to what should be permissible and what isn't permissible. But you're willing to give that huge swath of control over to the government. And I'm sure that we can both agree that's a very dangerous idea.
So what if we had a group of like, let's say we had an epistocracy like who was gonna take charge of hate speech, like the best of the best, most intellectual people who were like define hate speech as something that's like parametricized to be accurate and functional. Would you be okay with that?
Who picks the group?
I don't know. We take a test. Everyone takes a test, and the smartest 2% of the nation is like taken, and they get to decide what is hate speech and what laws should be put forth.
So this is based on the premise that the smartest 2% of the population would be the most effective at preserving laws and the liberty of
Perhaps
individuals.
not preserving
Is
laws,
that
but like
God?
Or creating laws?
Creating laws.
If God was in that group, maybe.
Why don't they do that right now then?
I don't agree that only the top 2% of intellectuals
For
should be in
real.
control
Can tell
of
everybody else
birthright,
what to
with
say.
people's right to freedom of speech.
That doesn't make any
So
sense.
I want to make sure that I understand correctly. We disagree, and I appreciate being respectful. We disagree on the idea that there should be some legislation on speech. You're not exactly clear as to what that line is,
Okay.
But you're willing to give that role over to not necessarily the government, but an appointed board of the top 2% of
That's certainly
Americans.
a hypothetical, but I do think that we should take people who are like
just said
highly intellectual and know on the subject, like communication scholars, sociologists,
They're humans,
like
though.
people who directly study humanity and communication and the power that it
This
has.
bitch is making my head hurt.
But they're humans and can be corrupted. If you put just a little group in power of that, a little bit of corruption is what ruins everything.
Legit.
It corrupts the entire thing.
Fucking calm.
So you corrupted one of those people in that group. Now the whole group is corrupted. Now, they don't have our best interest at heart, and now we're
No.
fucked because you gave this power to another human.
Yes.
A flawed human. Like humans are not perfect, and I do not think a human should be running my freedom of speech because I know when I put pen to paper, I can rhyme, make some fire rhymes. I can do all types of shit with my freedom of speech. And I'm not having no one else tell me what to do with it.
Nope.
There's no way.
Nope.
Crazy.
Founding fathers were intelligent.
I do think the founding fathers are intelligent. I moved to this country for a reason, but I do also think that they were part of the elite and perhaps didn't know what it's like to be part of a like minority group.
I do.
Can you name me a tool, I guess, that has been used more by a minority group to improve their lives than the freedom of speech?
Freedom of speech has certainly helped them, but it's also like harmed them when the
How?
majority uses it against them.
The
What?
majority.
When does that happen?
Again, but you do understand if you're offering that power over to a government, right? And you mentioned democracy, we're a constitutional republic, but it would be even worse if we were a democracy, right?
Yeah.
Now you have mob rule. You have people who are in charge of determining speech laws. You see how that's even more difficult? Then you
I can see
have,
where
for
that- yeah.
example, Nazi Germany.
Yep.
You have, not necessarily, wouldn't say majority, I don't want to misuse the term, but a plurality, right, at that point. For example, in Canada, we don't have a two-party system, so you can have someone elected who's 38% of the vote. A plurality of the people who believe in one particular set of, they believe one worldview,
Yes.
Yep.
and they can implement that on minorities,
Yep.
right? As you saw in Russia.
That's what's gonna
As
happen.
you see in the Castro regime.
That's what'll happen every time.
That's dangerous.
Every time.
So allowing anyone to determine what basic fundamental human rights
I don't see it.
are
Dangerous.
permissible or allowed to use.
I don't see
your
it not being
language,
corrupted.
It's antithetical to the founding fathers' view of government. The whole reason for freedom of speech is so that the majority, as mob rule, can't infringe on the rights of the minority. And I think the same freedom of speech should be afforded to everybody, whether the majority or minority,
Yes.
because it's ever
Yep.
changing. And we
Yep.
both can agree on that.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's my point of view, and it hasn't changed.
I think I
Yep.
agree with you on most things except for great representation of our campus. I do
There are
appreciate
people
the
making
respectful
jokes?
discourse. I think we agree on like a lot, but also disagree on like very little. I don't think I'm going to change your mind, but I do think that this was like good discourse.
Before I move on, 2 seconds to plug Mug.
Okay, that's wild.
Yo,
Wild. They got nowhere.
they got nowhere.
That's crazy. That was some of the craziest
And it just shows again.
and she's on the debate team.
Yes.
That's why it went on way longer than it should have.
Yes, because she just kept pretending like she was going to come with some points
Yeah.
and just kept coming with the same BS that she was spitting from the entire time.
Exactly what we said was gonna happen. She got her
Yes.
ass whooped figuratively.
This, like, and it just shows even more from the first guy that these people, they don't understand.
What is TCU doing over there? With their I don't know. Like, this is the debate team, and she just got dismantled.
Yo.
Damn, man, that's wild. But yeah, this video's going kind of long.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
She was just terrible. That was bad.
That's it.
she
was
didn't
just
make
terrible.
no points.
No, she didn't.
Ugh.
And it's crazy. This is why freedom of speech is good, because if we didn't have freedom of speech, there could be someone like that running our shit and being just like have no logic to anything they're saying, and just be like, we just need to legislate this because the minorities need it.
Yep.
The minorities need it, and then that's what they just push. That's how they push it. We care. That's why we're stopping them from speaking. But like Steven Crowder said, freedom of speech is what has changed us for the better.
Literally, freedom of speech is the reason why you can do anything you can do. The Constitution is the reason why you can do anything you can do. And these people that want to change it are just out their trees.
That is a fact. Factamundo. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever we drop. I think I already said I appreciate you guys for tuning in. So yeah, remember to always stay flawed. Don't you dare try to play flawed. And if you see me in the streets, then you better say, hey, flawed. Hey. Make it easier for me to go to sleep at night. I had a dream that I could do my thing, and everywhere I went the people knew my name. Some people hated on the truth I bring, but now I use the hating just to fuel my plane. I had a dream that I could do my thing, and everywhere I went the people knew my name. Some people hated on the truth I bring, but now I use the hating just to fuel my plane.